Hi everyone, welcome back to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha. I am so happy you are here, and today I am speaking to one of the stars of the Broadway show K-pop, and he has a PhD in boyfriend. It's Jinwoo Jung.
Hi, thank you for having me,
Yeah.
Ashley.
Yeah, so glad to have you here. And to give you a little bit, I guess, of background, Jinwoo made his Broadway debut in K-pop, but has also been in the Broadway national tour of Miss Saigon and the off-Broadway musical K-pop. Film and television work includes Glass, Ghost in the Shell, The Interview, and others. And he has an MFA in acting from USC, which we can obviously talk so much about, all of your different credits and different trainings and things like that. So Jinwoo, how are you today? I mean, it's like, Monday, I don't have school, and like, just, kind of chill day.
Yeah, it's been great. I didn't do much this morning, but I feel great. My body feels great. I have lots of auditions waiting for me, so I've been practicing that. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I know the last time I saw you was closing weekend when I got to see the show for the very
Yeah.
first time for the last two. And it was just such a special experience. And so I think we should go all the way back to the very beginning of your journey as a performer. Like, when did you first begin performing? Like, was it something you always loved to do? Was it something you discovered later in life? Did you know what Broadway was for a while? Like, just what was your journey through discovering performing and then moving from Korea to America?
So well, I was always a singer. I was always a singer, and but I never thought of myself as a performer until I went to college, because I've been singing in bands, different rock bands, cover bands, always performing, but I always thought I was going to become a lawyer. I was born and thrown into a lawyer family, lawyer teacher family, so I never saw myself as a performer until I went to college, and I first started telling myself, like, why can't I do this for a living? Why can't I do something that I love? And, I don't have to be rich. I just do what I love and make living. That's when I started, like, changed thinking about the perspective and, like how I see myself in 5, 10 years. So I ended up, you know, deciding. I talked with my dad, and he being an Asian father, very strict, and everything, he kind of suggested me, like, how about musical theater? Because he didn't I was already like 22, like 21, 22, 23, and he thought musical theater was something that I can do for there's longevity to it, and he thinks it's more artistic compared to pop, and he also thought if I can get a degree from United States, I could teach. So there's that. So, and he said if I were to pursue grad school, he will support me with a scholarship, with the tuition and everything. I was like, I'll think about it, because I've never seen a musical theater in my life until I was like 20 something, right? And then I did my research, and then it turned out all the Broadway stars, if they had a degree in grad school, it was in acting. There
Mhm.
aren't musical theater performing, grad
Yeah,
school
yeah.
degrees a lot here in the United States. So I guess I would have to pursue acting then. So that's how I started, flew out to Bellevue, Washington, because I had a place I could stay there. And then I prepared for my grad school auditions, and then I was accepted to USC, and then I did my first theater performance in school at USC in 2013.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're
And then
very
I ended up, yeah,
flexible.
falling in love with acting and everything. Yeah.
Wow, that's such, different journey than most people where it's like, started performing from like a young age. I know for me, I started in high school with singing and acting and stuff. So I feel like it's a feeling of being behind when you're not really behind.
Mhm.
It's like trying to figure out that journey because I know I talked to Kate and you both went to or have been accepted or went to USC.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
or either musical theater or acting, and I'm right in the middle of all my college auditions right now because I'm a senior and trying to like see where I want to be. I mostly want to be in Manhattan, just so I
Yeah.
can pursue performing, but also like podcasting and like social media and everything like that, just to like be in the center of it. But getting to hear like your journey of not finding musical theater and Broadway till I guess later, and not pursuing that until much later in life than most people think about it. Like that's just really, really cool and really inspiring that it's never too late to start. Like, not that you starting later was like even that late, but just like not doing the typical, progression of events. It's just like you make your own journey and things always work out in the end if you just do what you love, like you said. And that's amazing that your dad supported you throughout that entire process. I know for me, I'm very blessed to have supportive parents as well, and just getting to have support from your family and getting to just do what you love. I don't think there's like a better thing than just getting to do that.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's awesome. Like I love hearing about, your journey. And now I think we need to start talking a little bit about K-pop. Like when did you first hear about it? Like were you in school, or were you just when was it first like approached to you as a project? Because I know I didn't know about the show until like much later when I met Helen actually last summer.
Yeah, yeah. It's a really interesting story about that. So it goes back to grad school. So I'm Korean. I was born and raised in Korea. So there's this thing about visas. Like there's always a struggle about visas when you're trying to pursue career here, if you're not born here.
Mhm,
So we all get this thing called OPT, which is like a optional training program or something. You get like a year after you graduate where you can work and do internship, and and then you have to apply for O1, blah blah blah. It's very complicated. But at the end of the OPT, I I didn't have enough credit to prove myself worthy as an actor to pursue an artist visa here. I could, but it wasn't like 100% solid yet.
mhm,
So I was kind of like planning going back to Korea. Like 30% of me was like, I'm probably gonna head back to Korea. 70% was like, I still can do it.
mhm,
And then I got an email from the Ars Nova, the K-pop off-Broadway team, and I auditioned for it. I'm not a dancer, so I called my dancer friend who's a choreographer, and then I showed him like the choreo and then let him teach me everything. And I booked the job. And after I booked the job, and then I talked to Jason Kim, the writer in New
mhm,
York, and then it turned out that he was working at the Williamstown Festival,
mhm,
one of his shows, and then he was at a bar. And my classmate from my grad school was also doing a different show in Williamstown Festival. And then she saw Jason Kim at a bar. So she wanted to get to know him. She talked to him. And then she asked this like weird question, like, you seem like you have something to talk about. I can help you. What is it? And then Jason Kim told her, Chantal, I'm looking for I'm looking for this actor to play this character named Oracle, which is Junhyuk now.
mhm,
And I'm looking for this type of looking like a leading man type, but who can sing, but who can also do this, who can speak Korean, blah blah blah. And she was like, I know exactly who that is. And then she gave him my info, and that's how they reached out to me. And then I ended up working for the project.
mhm.
And yeah, so
Yeah,
like
that's incredible. You
that's crazy.
have a
Yeah,
reason to stay in America and just like getting to I guess share your own culture through your art.
yeah,
And like
yeah,
what
yeah.
was your reaction to booking the show? Because I know sometimes people like end up recording people when they get like the call of like when you book
Uh-huh.
it. Like did you have a moment like that, or was it just kind of like okay, and then you just keep going like, oh, okay, I
Um,
guess we're gonna do
I
this.
was I was super excited, super happy, but also there was another visa issue because, like I said, my OPT was ending. So my OPT, I booked K-pop during the transition, so I had to, it was a lot of process. So I was very excited and happy, but at the same time, I was worried
Oh.
because there's this visa issue. But Ars Nova, they helped me like 100% with the visa, everything. If I needed a letter, if I needed any paperwork, they helped me. So
Mm.
I was able to yeah, just focus on my work once I was in New York. Yeah,
Hmm.
so I was happy. I was really happy.
Yeah,
What
and
about
you
you?
talking about like your role as Oracle, like so you said it was a Jung Hyuk, like that's a character that it was like back then. Like, did Junie exist at all, or like was he still a boyfriend, or like was that even a thing? Because I don't know much of like the story since there isn't too much out there about the Ars Nova production, and so I'm just like wondering, kind of what was your role in that production, and like what changes were there since there were so many.
Oh, you've never heard about the original version? So you talked with John, no, James and Kate.
Yeah, I have not
Okay.
talked to anyone. You're the first one I've talked to who
Okay.
is part of the Ars Nova, but I'm talking to John and Jumin later. So
Okay, nice, nice. Yeah, they're gonna fill in more, yeah,
yeah.
information about. So yeah, Junie didn't exist
Hmm.
back then. And they changed Oracle to Chunyuk during one of the workshops later on.
Hmm.
So basically, the off-Broadway version was immersive show.
Yeah.
They used up the whole building in ART New York. The whole building, even the elevator and everything, was part of the show. And basically, they gather people in one big giant room, and then they divide them into three different groups. One group going to Mui, one group going to see Special K, which is now Artemis,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the other group going to see Fate. And then they rotate.
Hmm.
And after each group watches all three, they come back to the original big room, which becomes to a concert hall.
Hmm.
And then we finish the show there. And because it was an immersive show, each character there were only like five Fate members back then because the whole plot was it used to be eight, but because they wanted to pursue American market, they had to cut in half four, and add a additional member who was Epic now is Brad,
Yeah.
or Plato, or what's this stage name? I forget. But yeah,
Yeah.
they changed the name so many times. To me, it's very confusing. Yeah,
Like which one is it now? I don't remember.
yeah, yeah. So the whole confrontation, the script wise, it was pretty much the same. The difference is that it was a lot longer because we had all the time. So
Yeah, yeah.
like we would divide, each member would take eight people to their own dressing room and do like 8 minute monologue.
Oh wow.
Each member would do that, and then we hear something, and then we all come out in our Fate's green room, and then that's where the scene starts.
Hmm.
And of course, every audience member is going to have a different experience because they just heard me talking 8 minute monologue. So they're going to be on my side. But that guy was not in my room. He was in Epic's room for 8 minutes. So
Yeah.
he's going to be on his side. So it was very different. But the main structure for Fate is pretty much the same, I think. But it was just a lot shorter than the original.
Hmm.
And for Mui, there was no Junie. It was mainly the confrontation between uh Ruby
Hmm.
and Mui, but it was a mother-daughter relationship, but it was more about this artist feeling she's aging out of her prime, and she's scared, but she's only like 20 something.
Yeah.
Um yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's
so
different.
interesting. I mean, I wish I could have seen it, but I don't think I was like old enough to even comprehend like what it was because I was just getting into Broadway at the time. Like I think during 2017 I saw Hamilton for the first time, like kind of
Nice. You
like
saw Hamilton in
well,
2017?
yeah, yeah,
How
like
did you
pretty
get the
early.
tickets? Oh my God.
Yeah, it was very last minute and very crazy. There's a whole story about that. My dad like just freaking
Nice.
out. But I was thinking, I was like, if I had seen K-pop, like I don't think I would have been old enough to understand like what it was. Or just like I think I was maybe like 12 or 11 at the time. I mean, I think I would have had fun, but it's just like a different comprehension where now
Yes.
I'm 17 and I like fully understand all of it now, and I'm like, I wish I could have seen it, or like, you know, that it probably like
Yeah,
would
yeah.
have made a different impact and just had a different effect that it does now. But getting to hear about like the different rooms and getting, I didn't know that because I knew about the immersive part of it with the three different rooms, but I didn't know that like there was the dressing room thing where you go and like take a group and everyone has a separate experience like that. I think that just makes it like a totally different theater experience that like has never been like I guess seen or heard before. I mean, what was Oracle's kind of like thing that he was trying to convince them of in the 8-minute monologue?
So it was about me being, I was representing like Korean heritage, like, but like more like in a conservative way. I'm
Mhm.
Korean, you're not, because you're from United States. That's
Uh,
basically what I was saying. And my character would value like tradition, like this I would show. I do have a picture somewhere inside, but
mhm,
I I would take out my wallet and I would take out a picture that my grandmother gave me. And I talked about how our country's divided,
mhm,
and the pain that we had to go through, and now we have to, honor the tradition, honor our heritage, blah 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 blah. But this whole thing about the coming to America, dividing us into half, and like this American guy comes in and then like tries to make fate an American group,
mhm.
which was totally against my character.
Oh, uh-huh.
And there's this song, remember 한국놈?
Yeah, yeah.
It used to be 새 남자.
Yeah, yeah. I listened to the
It-
demos on like
yeah,
SoundCloud.
yeah. It's like a new man. I'm a
Uh-huh.
new person. I'm a new man. And that song would come out when everyone's doing monologue. That song would play,
Mhm.
but the lyric is not the way it's supposed to be,
Mm.
which means the new guy changed the lyric and they're gonna play it. And
Oh.
I'm like, hell no. And then I just walk out and everyone's like, I'm like, everyone come out, and everyone comes out, and then Epic, Brad would be the last person to come out. Hey, and he'd be like, hey, what's going on? What's wrong?
Mhm.
And I, kind of like bully him in a
Oh.
way. Yeah. And then I asked the audience to like, this is our original sound. And then we sing in front of them. And then he goes like, well, listen to this, our new sound, which was 한국놈, 새남자.
Mhm.
And then, we'd keep like asking questions to the audience member, like, what side are you on? Who's right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that
Yeah.
was the
Yeah, it
yeah.
kind of it does fit. Like I see how it kind of progressed into what it is like now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's just like a different experience. I mean, I wish I could like experience that again or at least hear all of the different changes and like the different versions of the songs because I know like that's a giant thing. It's just like hearing the I guess the progression of what like how everything that I got to see came to be. And that's like
Mhm.
super cool knowing that like I mean you played a completely different character at
Mhm.
Ars Nova, like Juny didn't exist like at all. And like that's just incredible. Like, did you have I'll ask this later with like the Broadway production, but for the Ars Nova one, like did you have a favorite either scene or like song from the show that you just love to perform?
Um, I really loved there were two songs that I really liked. One song was Cut, but
Uh,
they actually played it before the show.
uh,
When you get into the theater, when you're waiting for the show to start at Circle in the Square, they would repeat the same song after and over. And one of the song was called A Starlight.
I think I might have heard it. Was it I think they played it maybe at the outside like event, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh
I've heard it, I think.
yeah, it goes like Starlight, 별빛 같은 사랑. It's like a ballad, but
Mm,
it's a very sad ballad. That was I love that song because it was such a great song, but also that song represented the old sound of Fate.
mhm,
So I had to convince the audience with the song that our originality or our original song is better than what's we've become. So I would choose that song, and I would also choose America because it was, America's America. It's a
yeah.
really good song. It's very like aggressive but sexy, and you get to like let it all out.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No, that's
and
one of my favorites.
yeah, and also Abraham's high notes used to be Junhyuk's high notes. So I had to do all the
Oh,
high notes and also that. So to me, it was extremely challenging, but at the same time, very like fulfilling.
yeah, rewarding.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, like I've heard, I even heard like the demos of just Helen singing it, America.
Yeah.
I'm like, this song is
Yeah.
just so catchy, and I can't wait to like repeat it on
I
Spotify.
know. I can't wait for the songs to come out.
Yeah, and for you, I mean, what was it like to record the album? Like you and Luna did like Bongori Say, right? And
Yeah.
is that the only song that yeah,
Yeah,
Juny?
that's the only song I get to. Yeah.
But it's an awesome one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was great. It was great. I was, I'm not a guitar player. I've never played guitar before K-pop, and I did my best to learn. And then I ended up recording at this fantastic studio where Celine Dion recorded My Heart Will Go On,
Mhm.
and they recorded my guitar. And
Yay!
I'm like, I was so proud of myself. I was like, yes, it was worth it because there were moments where the team and I had to sit down and talk like, do you think you can do this? Because it's about time that we need to ask like serious questions. Like, I know you're working hard. I know I'm working hard, but we both weren't sure if it was presentable
Hmm.
on Broadway stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was a lot of stakes on it. But the music team trusted me, and they always said it's gonna come to it. You're gonna get it. So don't
Hmm.
worry about it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna be great.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that they pushed me that way because I could have said like, no, I'm not gonna do it. You can't make me do it. I'm not a guitarist. You should have hired a guitarist.
Yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, I was so proud of myself after the recording, and I had so much fun recording it.
Yeah, I can't wait
Mm.
to hear it. I mean, you saw my video that I posted.
Yeah. Oh my God, you sounded amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I loved it.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's like one of my favorite songs. I know I've listened to like the Ashley Park version. I've listened to like Helen's version and Luna's version like 100 times, and like your version, the duet. It's just like it's such a sweet song, and just like getting it's so powerful too, and just knowing finally knowing the background behind it, because like before I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know the whole thing with like Mui's mom or anything until I saw the show closing weekend. And so like finally having that like unlocked in my brain, I was like, okay, this means so much more now. And like seeing what it means with like Ginny wanting to like push her to record it and just like keep it just keep it around, like it's just really special because I think he brings out the best in her and like wants the best for her as well. And just for the two of them together. And a funny question I have for you is like, what do you do during Bongorise when Junie just like descends into the ground?
Oh.
Because I know like when I watched it the first time, I was like, where's he going? Where's Junie going?
Yeah,
What's he doing down there?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't like me going down. It was so funny. It looked funny sometimes, and they found a great balance between being funny and trying to tell the between being theatrical.
Yeah.
Um, so when I went down, I think for the first few weeks, first like 3, 4 weeks, I stayed like this until the thing completely covered me because I felt like people can still see me.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
didn't want to
yeah.
because people were like, "What's happening? Like, where is he going?" They would look, and I felt like they could see if I moved too much, they can see me.
Hmm.
But after like a couple of weeks, I realized they can't see me because
Yeah,
it's so dark and it's so low that nobody could actually see me unless they were in a standing room
yeah. Hmm.
area. So I usually would do the opposite pose because
Hmm.
my neck hurts so much just by doing this, watching Luna sing. I'm like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
great, but my neck and my back is so twisted.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
do the exactly opposite to balance it out. And then once I feel great, I would literally just like enjoy her singing.
Yeah.
Like I would literally just like sit and then like listen to her singing and like sometimes I would listen to her words. Sometimes I would focus on her performance. Like, oh, she's good today. Like
Hmm.
she's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically what I do.
Yeah, I was just wondering, so like it's kind of I remember watching it for the first time and I was like, What?
Yeah, I know.
It was kind of a funny moment. I know it's not supposed to be, but it's just like
Yeah.
you can't help
It's
you're
like
like, and then at the end you just zip up. I'm like, oh, okay, he's back.
yeah.
And I
It's
was like, is he doing?
yeah.
Is there a dance party down there? Like, what am I seeing? Like, but it's like I was like, are they just listening to Luna's beautiful voice? Like, because I mean, she's one of like the greatest vocalists I think I've ever seen in my entire life, and I'm like a singer, I guess. And so I'm like just trying to enjoy it and take it in. I know during closing I was like, okay, you have to enjoy this. Like it's so
Yeah.
so good. And like
It was a
him
lot.
playing the
Yeah.
guitar and just singing, like finally getting to hear Junie's voice. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
Oh, we have 10 minutes. And so, like, did you have any backstage rituals that you did? I know a lot of Broadway people, have stuff they do before or like stuff they do during the show. And for Junie, he's not actually on stage, like for a lot of the show. Like, what did you like to do when you were backstage?
Well, there were few moments I can share. So before Pangarisa's
Hmm.
scene, I would be downstairs with Luna for like good 5 to 10 minutes together, and we had to check in with each other.
Hmm.
That's part of the ritual and also part of the rule of of the company, because
Hmm.
we had like intimate moments and we always had to check in with each other
Yeah.
if we were okay today, if we were feeling okay doing that.
Hmm.
So we do that, and we would like literally just like watch Artemis perform through the monitor. Like they're good. We would copy their moves and like we would sing together, and then yeah, I think that was the everyday ritual with Luna.
Hmm.
And before the first Mui dressing room scene where Ruby gets to tell me like, why do you exist? Right?
Yeah, that was
I
the
yeah.
best.
I'm always the first one to get there because that's my first entrance
Hmm.
in the show. I have so much time. Um, so we would do like tongue twisters together, Ruby and I, like, and then we would run lines with our tongues stretched out, just like we would try different warm-ups and everything. Yeah. And also Abby and I, before our bow,
Hmm.
we're just like dancing backstage. We're just dancing, watching the audience, watching the guys bow, perform,
Mhm,
and
you're
have
like,
the best time of our
"Yes,
lives.
stop."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know, I, like, keep watching the videos from, like, closing and just, like, trying to copy all the moves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder
Yeah.
if they all did that as well, like, just backstage, like, since, like, the whole concert, like, do you just hang out backstage with, like, Julie or Major and just, like, dance? I don't know, because I know I would
Yeah,
definitely do
they
that.
would sometimes dance, but they were always talking. I don't know what's happening on the other side. I would see them and they would be talking a lot. But Abby and I, we were always like dancing, not just the choreo, but like whatever we wanted to, however we wanted
Uh-huh.
to. We were always dancing. So it was
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, that the
Mhm.
whole show is like towards the end, it's just like a big dance party, and I'm like, it's just
Yeah.
where people
Yeah.
get to get up off their seats and like, just have this community feeling that has never really been felt to me on a Broadway stage. And I've seen like lots of Broadway shows now, and just getting to like, I've never experienced anything like that, and just having those, especially since it was closing weekend, I think everyone was just like wanting to make it the best show that they possibly could. And like James was saying, everyone was like dancing the sharpest they've ever danced and like
Mm.
just enjoying it, getting to say goodbye to the show. Because I mean, at least you knew it was goodbye and you got to just say goodbye to the Broadway stage for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just getting to like make it a special one, because I know for me, I got to see the last two, so it's like they were the most special I think that I could have seen in the entire run. And for you, like, is there a number you wish you could have been a part of? Like as Judy
Um,
or returning as Fate or anything like that?
I don't know. I've never thought about it. I But if I were to pick a song that I would sing, I could sing, I would choose like all the oh, I would love to sing halfway.
Oh.
Halfway, I would love to sing Still I Love You.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, because I always sang with them in my dressing room.
You're like
Yeah,
singing. It's like a sing along.
yeah. It's like a sing along, and I could hear other people from other dressing rooms singing along as well. So
You just hope the
the
audience can't hear.
yeah, the soundproof wasn't really good in dressing rooms. I could hear everything, so everyone was singing along.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was like I forgot if it was James or Kate or like someone was saying that like someone would do a warm up and then the next room would start doing the same warm up and like just
Yeah,
going because the
yeah,
walls were so thin. I'm like, which
yeah,
makes it fun because it's like I think you all like seem like such a family.
yeah.
It's like seeing that the love and obviously a big Asian American and Asian community just kind of having a special show on Broadway was like really cool for me, and I hope I can experience that someday in some
Yes,
show.
you will.
Uh,
Yes, you.
just like that special feeling of just knowing that you don't have to prove yourself that you belong. It's like you already are a community, and everyone kind of has that shared understanding of what we've all been through as performers. For me, being Asian American, being born here, growing up in like a community that I didn't see myself in, or finding Broadway and then being like, okay, this stuff is kind of changing a little bit, not fully, but we're getting there. And
Yeah.
I think that, we just have to keep going and hopefully K-pop can come back. I know since I'm in LA, I'm like, but I mean, at least I'm in California for now. Hopefully, move to New York in the new year. But like, bring K-pop here to Vegas. I will be there. And just keep sharing the love that K-pop has because I think it's so special. And if we can just share that with every other Asian person in America, or even bring it to Korea or anything like that, I think that's just something that deserves to happen, and the joy deserves to be shown to everyone.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, I hope so too. I wish more people saw the show. You know, what
mhm.
I mean? It was a yeah, it did something to the community. I think the show definitely pushed boundaries in many different ways, and I just, it closed, but I wish just like more people, I wish more people had an opportunity to see the show before we closed. So I hope there's future to the show. I don't know anything about anything yet, but I really do hope so.
Yeah, yeah. I know there's such a big also Asian community in LA, I know especially, and just like a lot of K-pop fans out here. So like
Yeah, yeah,
there is an audience for it. It's just you have to really find the audience and make sure that they know about it, because I think that was also something like some people just didn't quite know what K-pop was, and I'm like, no, this is amazing. Like this is a great show, but people are like, huh, oh, is it like a jukebox musical like with K-pop songs? Like
mhm.
I think just like the accessibility maybe, and the next time that K-pop can be shown, just like making sure that it reaches the right people so that it can make
Yeah,
the biggest impact that it can, and just making sure that um it's seen by the people that it needs to be, because that's the important part, is making people feel seen, like for me.
mhm.
Making me feel like I belong, or like I have a role. I'm not myself, I'm not Korean, I'm Taiwanese American. But knowing, like, seeing Julia in the show, like I want to play Sonoma now, or just like be a part of
Yeah,
it, since not everyone in the show is Korean. So like that's something cool
yeah, yeah. And
about it.
like not every K-pop idols are Korean. Like,
Yeah,
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 they're from everywhere. So
like Lisa from
yeah,
Blackpink is Thai. Like there's just
yeah,
so many different people that can be a part of the same community and just appreciate the culture that is in it. Yeah. So we'll just get right back into it. So going back to, I guess, the original K-pop production, like, is there something, I know you mentioned like two songs that you really love, but like, was there either a moment or a scene that happened in the Ars Nova production that you wish could have made it to Broadway, or at least maybe would have just made it a
mm.
little bit of an experience that you liked as someone who's in it?
Um, yeah. I don't know if it was possible with in the circle in the square, but there was a moment where I literally pick up a chalk
Mm-hmm.
and then I draw a line, and then
Ooh.
I asked the audience to choose a side and stand behind me or the other person, and sometimes it took a very long time for them to decide.
Mm-hmm.
And every night, the result was completely different. And I wish they kept it not exactly like how, it's
Yeah.
impossible to do that in American story, but sort of a way for the audience member to think about which
Hmm.
side they're on. Sometimes people
Yeah.
would stand in the line, like right in the middle, like doing like this, and like, I think you both have good, opinions. But I wish the show gave them more opportunity, more room for them to like actually think about which side they're on.
Hmm.
I don't know how, but I wish, yeah,
In some way.
yeah, some way. That
Hmm.
was because, yeah, I think that's one thing that I really missed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and being a part of Fate, I saw that in the playbill it says that you were an understudy for the role of Jake, which is Abraham's character, which we know you
Yeah.
got high notes for. Like, did you ever rehearse it, or like would you have wanted to go on at some point and kind of make a return to Fate, or after like opening, was that not even an option anymore? Just like what is the story behind that? Because I know I didn't know that you were like it listed that at all until way later.
Yeah. It was so they yeah, it's a long story, but they sort of added that
Hmm.
to my contract while we were negotiating. And I'm not a dancer. I would sing Abram's part. I would love to play his part, but just because I'd have to learn all the choreo,
Yeah.
on top of learning the guitar, it was just like too much for me. So I always said, I always kind of like resisted. And then it ended up being, I don't have to understudy the part during the previews. So it
Hmm.
was out of my contract. But I had to watch them learn choreo time to time.
Hmm.
But I've never tried it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it was out of my contract, because it was a huge burden for me to like, I have to learn all that, you know. And it was during the preview, so the choreo would change every day, and I'm like, it was just like painful for me to like think about learning all the, changes and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, very complicated. And like since it's K-pop formations,
it's a lot. Yeah,
and I'm
it's
like,
a
I
lot.
can't imagine, like, I was talking to, Patrick and Tim. I'm like, how do you just like keep it all in your brain, especially learning like 8 different parts of the same number? I'm like, that is just remarkable. And like the fact that, you were learning the guitar and like maybe had a possibility of going like of
Yeah.
understanding Jake just in case anything really, really bad happened.
And
Uh,
also, like, I would
that's really
go to the
fun.
fittings,
Mm.
and all the clothes won't fit me. It's like they literally, if they were to fit me, they had to reorder everything and
Yeah.
like customize, because
Uh-huh.
I'm a lot bigger, and I'm, yeah, the body shape wise, I'm different from most of the Fate members. So yeah, when I looked at myself in the mirror, I don't look good. Like I look like, I don't know, it really didn't work, because I had to try on the clothes that they ordered for Fate.
Mm-hmm.
So they ordered like a lot of clothes in many different sizes, many different styles, and they would try things on different members and see what looks good. And of course, I was there, and most of the clothes were small to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was one of the factors that they struggled with to find my Jake uh costume.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I know, like, I mean, since you only had like one role that you maybe did,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and they had like so many individualized costumes and stuff. I know for Abraham,
yeah,
had a lot of like, I think James said Gucci or something, like just like
yeah,
stuff like that. But just like, oh my gosh, I can't. That's so much fun. I mean, I doing like even just going to a fitting like that sounds fun to me.
yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot
Like,
of yeah, it's a lot of fun. Fittings are, it can be long, but it's fun. It's just
yeah, I
fun to
like seeing the
try different.
different ways that like either different outfits on different people or like if anything changes. Like I kept saying I think to James like I love how the individuality of each of the members' costumes. Like no one in
Yeah.
it looks the same. Like John has that giant coat like during
Yeah.
meant to be
Yeah.
and Handura, and I'm like it just makes him look so tall and so cool. And like with the flamingo thing for James, like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
story thing and getting to like see the different things and like even for you getting to have a different outfit. I think they changed it a few times like for your bows. But by the end like the white outfit
Yeah.
that you guys all
Yeah.
had, like that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um and like did they change it during previews? Because I remember seeing like different pictures of you in like major and different outfits and different things. So I was like, huh, wait, did they change it again?
Yeah, they wanted everyone to be in white because at the very end of the bow, it was, I guess it was weird to see just four of us
Mhm.
in a normal clothing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess they decided to let's have everyone in white. And also like wearing white clothes sort of represents Korean in a
Mhm.
way. Like there's this word called Baegui 민족, which means we're people of white clothes.
Oh.
So I guess I don't know if they knew that and decided to do that, but we ended up wearing all whites. So yeah, costume changed a lot during the previews. Not just from I mine really didn't change.
Mhm.
My Juny t-shirt got smaller. It was they gave me I think they gave me medium and then it ended up being a small size because they wanted to they wanted everything tight. I was like,
They want you
okay,
to seem buff, really.
yeah, yeah. But also watching all the Fate members and the Artemis members, their costume changed a lot.
Hmm.
A lot. Yeah. In a good way.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's super cool. And you said like the whole thing about, wearing white clothing. I think that's really cool to be symbolic of that. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I know a lot of Asian cultures are a lot with different colors or different, even numbers or different, just different things like that. For me, either wearing red or wearing different things like that, where I'm, Taiwanese and
Hmm.
representing it that way for like a lunar fest, whatever. Like what did it mean to you as a Korean performer to be sharing your culture through your art on a Broadway stage? Like you got to sing in Korean, like getting to
Yeah.
sing with Luna, who's a K-pop idol, and just getting to being able to just share that because I don't think as Asian performers we're often given that opportunity to really share that. Because for me, being Taiwanese, there's not many Taiwanese American performers. I know Kate being half, I figured that out and I was like, okay, mind blown, first of all. And like that's just so cool. Like, what did it mean to you to just be able to share a big part of yourself with the rest of the world through something that you love the most?
It's well, I guess if I had to put it in one sentence, I think I'm proud of myself and I feel very grateful for the opportunity.
Hmm.
During doing the shows, I really wasn't feeling it because I was so busy making the show,
Hmm.
learning the new things, trying to find what's the better choice for blah 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 blah. But once the show closed, I I had when I had the time to process what it really meant to me and for the community and to the world. What did I do? And then I thought about it and I was very grateful. I felt very lucky that I had this chance to do this part, to be part of this project. And yeah, I wish this is not the last. I wish this is the very first of its kind, and we opened up many more opportunities for the shows like this to show up in the future.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just so happy for everyone who's been involved. I know it's been about a month since closing, which seems crazy because it feels like
Yeah.
to me, it feels like it was just
Yeah.
yesterday. When I was finally getting to like see the theater in person and getting to finally move like go into the theater. And I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but I waited for during the closing, I waited for 4 hours for the cancellation line. Like in that line outside the theater, and I made friends and it was like a really cool experience, but I was very cold and like but it was worth it to me just to be able to go in and see the last performance because it meant so much to me and so many other people in the line who were either seeing it for the first time or for the fifth time. Like it just meant so much to people and finally getting to see closing. I mean, it was just the energy was like nothing else I've ever
Mhm.
seen or experienced. And just, I mean, what did it feel like for you for the final performance? Like, what were you just thinking about? Finally getting to sing Bangarise with Luna for the last time for now. And just how did it feel to take your final bow with everyone else, like just feeling the energy in the theater?
Um, well, first of all, thank you for waiting outside. Were you one of the people who got the soju shot glass?
No.
No, because I know that Abby and Amy handed out like there were so many opening night gifts left.
Mm-hmm.
One of them being soju shot glasses,
Uh-huh.
and they handed out to the people who waited outside for a
Oh,
very long
I don't
time.
think maybe that was I don't know when they did that because I was there until about half hour before because that was when I was able to buy my ticket
Oh,
and
okay.
go in. Yeah, I don't
Oh,
know when,
you
or maybe
mean
that was
before the show you waited 4 hours?
yeah. Oh, not after, not after.
After. Oh, yeah, 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 after.
I wasn't. Yeah, I had to rush off to go do something else. I wish I could have stayed, but um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I was just waiting before, and I saw Abraham and Marina came and
Oh,
gave me a
okay.
hug.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so back to your question, doing the show itself was very like out of my body experience because it was very personal,
Hmm.
and I saw the show in the audience actually because my track was a princess track. So as soon as I finished my scene, I ran and I would enter back in the audience and I would watch the show. I For the last two shows, the final two shows, I saw the show.
Oh, really? Okay, I
Yeah.
should have looked around.
Yeah, yeah.
All
And it
asleep
wasn't just me,
together,
like everyone I
but
knew was standing next to me in the standing room and they wanted to see the show. They wanted to enjoy what they've created.
hmm.
And it was so meaningful and very like I've learned so much about the show just
Yeah.
by watching it. And after the last bow, and we had this moment in the lower lobby area where everyone was drinking like whatever they like, and then we all took turns to have a say, like have a speech.
Hmm.
And I was very it was a mixed feeling of being upset, angry, and also like I have to be better. I felt like I can't just be sad. We all just can't be sad about the fact that the show closed. No, we have to, when the next opportunity comes,
Hmm.
we have to be in a better position to keep the show alive. Like I hate to compare our show to another show, but like our in our next door, there's Wicked, there's Music Man. They were making like I don't know, like 3 million a week,
Yeah.
which is like 20 times bigger than what we were making. And we I literally thought we all need to be Hugh Jackman. Next time we do K-pop or whatever, we all need to be Hugh Jackman so that we can keep the show alive.
Hmm.
Like whatever that means. I felt like I have to move forward. We all have to move forward. So we cannot repeat this. We
No.
have to be better next time.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I talked to like Hannah, who's like one of the biggest fans of the show.
Uh,
Um
yeah.
yeah, we were talking just about like different things that maybe could be done differently. I mean, I'm like a social media person, so I'm like just different things that like I would see just like wondering what could have been if things had been done differently.
You know,
And if things had been approached differently in a new way instead of just following the same Broadway blueprint, because K-pop's a special show. It can't stay in that same lane as all the other ones because it didn't quite work the same way as maybe they thought it would.
yeah.
But just like being hopeful for the future of like making sure we get a lot of hype around the show, that people know what it is, that people
Yeah.
know the songs before they go into the theater. Because like for me, one thing that because I've said it a million times that K-pop did pretty much everything I'd ever wanted for Broadway. Have a lot of Asian people, like a good original story, just getting to make allow people to make their debuts, and then also let people the swings on the album. That's a big one too, and just like
Mhm.
seeing what the show did. And something that they did very early on was allow people in the press to go record like Superstar, Shiganangbi, and then I think Haguknom. And like getting to do that, I was like, that's something really cool that no other shows really do, where you just get
Mm.
to go and help promote the show by allowing the news outlets to record these big numbers, where that's when I first saw anything of the show. I
Mm.
remember somebody posted the entirety of Shiganong B, and I remember watching it over and over in the next like month or so, like when you guys were in previews and watching Superstar and watching Haguknom, and just like that's how I got introduced to the music of the show. And then also with like Helen's concert that's on YouTube, just like making
Mm.
sure that it's accessible, because that's the reason I wanted to travel from California to New York for closing. Like, that's why so many people wanted to show up, is because it meant something to everyone.
Yeah.
It was able to touch so many people in a lot of different ways, and just having that accessibility also was showing the numbers like that never happens. And like getting to just see the things before you get to go into the theater, and getting to like be excited to go. And then obviously with the gin and tonic dance, like that was a big one too. And I was making a video outside of the theater like a day or two after closing, and then actually Joey Parnes came up to me and my mom and my family and was like, "What are you guys doing?" And I was like, "We're making the gin and tonic dance." He was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I'm a producer of the show." And I was like, "What?" It was just like such a cool moment. And when I made all those like videos, I got to show him one because he's not on social media, and
Yeah.
getting to see his reaction and getting to meet him and knowing how much the show meant to him as well, and knowing like, hopefully Vegas or LA, just like having those moments of like just love, pure love for the show, and like seeing the loadout, which made me very sad.
Yeah.
Just knowing that like the show did something, it broke boundaries, like it was really groundbreaking in terms of just everything that it did, and knowing like, okay, next time you have to appreciate it more when it's there, because the fact that like, it closed, like that's not okay in my opinion. Like that's not something that should happen again in the future. Like it's just not. We have to be different. We can't we can't keep going in the same way because it's not working. And it's like so many remarkable things happened in that theater, but not getting to have that still be on Broadway, like that's just it breaks my heart every time I think about it. And that's why I'm, one of the few Broadway accounts that keep posting about K-pop. Like I want to make sure that people know what it is, and know the music, and know Helen's music, and Max, and just knowing what it is and what it's done for so many people, because I think it's the outreach that we really need, for
Yeah.
shows like this that means so much to a lot of people.
Yeah. I agree 100%.
Yeah. And for you, I wanted to talk about something, because Kate was
Mhm.
the first one I interviewed for my podcast. And she mentioned that you're pretty much the reason that she had the job.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I was the, well, I would call it like I was the entrance, but
mhm.
like she would have booked it no matter. Like they would have found her. Like
Yeah. No, but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
can you talk about when you first saw like Kate's video on Instagram, and like what made you really just want to reach out to her for the show, like, and for the workshops?
So during the tour of Miss Saigon, I was following the hashtag Miss Saigon, and then there were so many young artists who covered the Kim's songs, like, so many numbers. And if they were really good, I would save them and I would send it to the the conductor of the tour. Like I would send it to the creatives of Miss Saigon and like, hey, look, there are these amazing artists out there who can do Kim. Like, I want you to see this. And then I saw Kate singing one of the song from the Miss Saigon, and I thought she's incredible. And then
Hmm.
I looked at her page, and she was a dancer.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, she's really young. She can sing and dance and she can act. So I was like, do you want to, are you interested? There's this show called K-pop. They're trying to bring it to Broadway. Are you interested? And then we talked, and then she ended up coming. She saw Miss Saigon in Costa Mesa, like the Irvine.
Hmm.
Um, and then I met her mom, and then I we talked about K-pop, and then I think I gave her info, or I gave her info to Helen or something.
Hmm.
And then she joined the next workshop. And everyone was like, because like she was 15
Uh-huh.
back then. She was
Yeah.
15 or 16, and she did aerial like during one of the choreo, and it was crazy. Um, and I remember Jason Kim watching her for the first time. He was like, "What?" Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah, and hearing that story, I was like, it really just shows that there's no linear path to, a workshop or Broadway. It's like things always happen for a reason, and you were meant to see Kate's video, and you saw how incredible she is, and just it all fell into place, and it all worked out in the end, which is
I
cool. And
know.
I'm only a year apart from Kate, so I'm like that. First of all, is crazy,
Yeah.
and like
And
just
she's
knowing how
also,
good
did
she
she
is.
tell you that she booked and Juliet?
Yeah, I saw her post it and
Oh,
stuff
that's
about that.
oh
And
yeah,
like
she posted it. Yeah.
no, it's just she's so incredible and I feel like she can just do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do whatever she wants. And she's gonna deferred from USC. I'm like, that is a hard musical theater program to get into.
Mm.
And you went to USC too. It's like that also that connection in itself is cool. And just
Yeah. Yeah.
hearing how everything really worked out and was able to you both went to Broadway together, which is cool.
Ah.
And we are able to just kind of be in that show, and just be make your because for you it was your Broadway debut. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was.
yeah, and just like allowing for so many people to do that is really cool. Um, and something that I just thought about that I wanted to talk to you about was like, can you talk a bit about the progression of that scene before the concert? Because I had heard from a lot of other people, like Hannah, about different changes that were made to either Junie's lines or Ruby's lines. And like I only saw the finished product like after opening, but um, like what was the progression of like him finally leaving her an ultimatum? Like what was the differences that happened throughout previews?
Uh, that's a really good question. I think the creatives wanted to test different endings.
Mm-hmm.
The the relationship between Junie and Mui, the relationship between Ruby and Mui, like they tried different options. So in the beginning part of the previews, uh, it was, yeah, I think it was more like Mui leaving me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm upset and I leave. And then the next thing was I was super angry. So
Mm-hmm.
I destroy the relationship. I walk away.
Uh-huh.
And then at the end, it was more like I guess they wanted to see her making a choice, but we don't know yet until she comes back to sing Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's why they ended up going like she looks at the audience and then it goes all dark.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the end of the scene. I think they decided that's the most powerful choice for the audience to have a room for like, oh, is she gonna come back? Is she not gonna come back? Is she back
Yeah,
with Junie? What's
yeah.
gonna happen? I think they wanted that. So yeah.
Yeah, and like what was it like for you to have to like get new lines every day? Because for me, like I haven't been afforded the opportunity yet to play like a lead that has more than one scene in a show or anything. I just haven't had that experience yet, and I haven't quite found my process of how I take in the lines or take in information or monologues, whatever. Like, what was your process once you got a page and you had to do it that night? Like, what was your mind thinking of and what was your process?
I think everyone has a different process. Like even though like they're like if I would get like a completely new different pages like 2 hours before a show, which have happened before.
Uh-huh.
And I everyone reacts differently. And for me, The learning line and like learning my blocking and everything is easier part for me. The harder part was like, so what are we telling? Like, what's the story? You know, what story are we telling? To figuring that out is hard part and takes the most time out of my work.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, when I get a new script or when I get like new information, I would try my best to find out what the story is.
Mhm.
What is the scene about? What's really happening in here? I don't care about the words, I don't care about blocking. They're trying to help the story. What's the story? And it was really incredible to see Julie getting like different pages every night and having the monologue, some lines taken out, adding some lines on top of that, and she has to remember all that.
Mhm.
And sometimes she would have to do it without any rehearsals. She
Yeah.
would just do it on the spot, and she did it.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I was like, how did she do that?
Yeah, I know for me, like wanting to go into college, I definitely want to figure out like what would my process be because it's so hard. Like you think acting is super fun, like yeah, you get to be a character, but then you're like, oh, I have to memorize like so much stuff. And I'm
Yeah,
like, how am I gonna possibly do that? So like trying to figure out like hopefully I can get that in my training and just like
yeah,
finally figure that out because it's like as actors you have to be able to like do things at a drop of the hat. You're not going to have months or days to think about it. You have to go for it. Um,
yeah.
and for you, like getting to change up lines every single day for that scene, like trying different things out. Like I have no idea like how you did that for
For
so
me, the harder part was changing the lyrics for 벙어리새. They changed
long.
벙어리새 lyrics so many times.
Really?
So I have to play the guitar, sing, focusing on Luna,
Uh-huh.
and then of course the lyrics that I've practiced for the past 6 months wants to come out, but
Yeah.
now it's a different line, and they've switched words like time to time very often.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Luna also had a hard time
Yeah.
changing because line change is easier, but lyric change is very hard because it's you've attached it with your singing.
Yeah.
So if the vowel changes, you use different resonance, so it feels different. So it's very confusing. Yeah,
I'm
I
sure.
remember that. Yeah,
That's yeah, just again insane to think about.
yeah,
And just incredible that you all got through it and were able to
yeah.
deliver a great show every single day.
Yeah.
And like just a few more questions, but for you, like, is there something that once you got to Broadway was kind of like mind blowing? Like you didn't think like I don't know, what was something about Broadway that you didn't think would be like either awesome or confusing or challenging that once you got there you were like, oh, okay, I didn't think this would even be happening or an option. Like, because obviously everyone has that dream of Broadway, but then once you get
Mm.
there, like, what was something you didn't know that ended up being either something good or something bad?
Um, that's a really good question. So for me, this is my opinion, not everyone's opinion. This is my experience. I dreamed about Broadway,
Hmm.
New York Broadway, right?
Yeah.
And it is amazing. It's a great space, great place to be in. But at the same time, it's still a theater show. It wasn't really different from Miss Saigon. It wasn't really different from uh La Cage Fall back in East West Players. It wasn't really different from a student production that I did.
Hmm.
The basic structure and the work that I had to go through was pretty much the same.
Hmm.
Just that there are more people involved. There are bigger money involved,
Yeah.
and the space is bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought something incredibly different would happen on Broadway, but to me, it was pretty much the same,
Yeah.
which is both good and bad.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have always said like Broadway is just community theater for people who have a lot of money and is really like a lot of money put into it. But everyone's just like a theater
Yeah.
kid at heart. And just everyone's just having fun and trying to make their dreams come true. Um,
Yeah.
and kind of to wrap it up, like what is your advice for young Asian kids who want to pursue performing, whether they're from Korea like you who moved to the United States to make their dreams happen, or people who are Asian American who've been here and just don't see themselves on stage or on screen? Like, just what would you tell them?
I would tell, first of all, just go for it. Don't try to calculate. If you focus on the first, your gut feeling, why you chose to do this, why you like this, focus on that and try not to forget that on
Mhm,
the journey. And everything, everyone has a different journey. Everyone has, some people, for me, like I started doing this when I was like mid 20s, you know, and some
mhm,
people do it when they're 3, 4. Like I had friends who started doing musical theater when they were 4. And we all have different journey. So don't try to calculate or expect and compare with other people's journeys and like, why don't I have that? You know,
mhm,
just try to focus on the reason why you started doing this.
mhm.
Also, for the people who's like me, who's not from United States, have that, but also have work on your visa.
Uh-huh.
Like when they ask me, like people from college who's studying acting, who's studying musical theater, they ask me like, what do I need to do? Like, what's the most important thing? And I tell them it's not talent, it's not your work ethic, it's visa.
Mhm.
Literally, if you don't have your visa, you have to get out.
Yeah,
Or like you can't work legally, which means you're not going to be hired.
yeah.
So have the passion and the thing that I talked about, but also work on your visa.
Uh-huh. Yeah, make sure that you can stay in the US and make sure you can keep doing what you're doing
Yes.
and what you love.
Yes.
You gotta
Yes.
have that before you can do the other things.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And finally, like, how can everyone listening, just find you either whether it be on social media or just anything? How can we continue to support you in your journey, whether you be in another tour or Broadway show, just anything like that?
Right now, all I have is Instagram, JINU108. But I'm trying to be more active on social media. So I'm planning to post more of me singing,
Mhm.
acting, and what if I book something, I'm gonna be very active on Instagram. I might start doing TikTok. I do have a TikTok account. I had to do one for one of the K-pop workshops.
Uh-huh.
But I'm gonna try to learn all these like
Yeah.
YouTube, TikTok, Instagram world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I've been like in that world for a while, just like posting whatever I can. And I was talking to
Yeah.
Patrick, being like, social media lessons, social media 101. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
making sure that, you're putting your work out there because you never know who's gonna see it, like you and Kate.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You
Like
never
really
know.
anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jinwoo, thank you so much for just taking the time today to talk with me about K-pop. I mean, I love this show so much. It is really giving me such a new outlook on what I want Broadway to be and what I want to pursue as a performer, where like I want to be in K-pop so bad now. Um, and hopefully that can happen someday because I know it would be just a dream just to be saying those different lyrics and speaking those lines because the show really is so powerful, and I think everyone who listens to it and everyone who sees the show thinks the same because it's just remarkable what you and everyone in the cast and crew have just done and able to break open that glass ceiling of just like, hey, we're here, we can do
Yeah.
this, we can make amazing shows, and we don't have to be white. And we can make sure that we have a future on Broadway because Asian American people and Asian people have so much power. For you being from Korea and also for like Jumin Hwang who's in and Juliet, like him also being from Korea and moving here later to begin your careers and then making it. Like it's just so amazing because the work doesn't lie. Like the talent and the work is always there, and you just have to really work for what you want in life.
Mm.
And just thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to everyone who will be listening to this. Make sure to follow me at Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha on Instagram and Broadway_Corner on like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, everything. And make sure that you're following Jinwoo at JINU 108. And just thank you so much for
No,
listening.
thank you for having me. Let's keep in touch. All
Yeah,
right.
of course. course. Yeah.
Right. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.